Alright, so I've got another NPC upgrade build for you guys today, and today we're looking at Coldcall's DEADSLED AC. Now, what are the major issues with this build? Well, quite frankly, the only major issue is his generator. He has on the Ming Tang originally. It has a very poor energy specialization stat. Obviously, this build is very reliant on the stat, the LRA, and the Worger, as the Blue Bunker, as it's been called by some. I'm adopting that name, by the way, I really like it. But obviously, that has to go. Give him an Arquebus generator. Easy fix, right? Plenty of other small tweaks to be made. Like, for example, I switched out his active homing missile for the 2-cell version, right? Just get an extra missile. Also switched out his missiles for the VPMs. Obviously, I'm sure you're all aware of just how strong the VPMs are. One quick thing to know about the VPMs on this build, though, I won't actually be giving them to his NPC when I eventually make the mod, right? Where I'm giving all the NPCs their upgraded builds, and I'll be playing the game like that, right? Just because the room he's in, you literally can't fire the VPMs there. They always crash into the ceiling. So, you know, they're literally useless in that room. And it would be kind of like cheating to give him the VPMs when they're literally useless for him, right? So probably give him the forward firing. I'll go more into detail in the weapons section. But just let me say, I was already expecting this build to turn out pretty good. But it honestly turned out quite a bit better than I expected. It's super fun to play. It looks really sick, by the way. I love how this build looks. Visually, it's just really, really good. The color palette's really, really nice. It works together very well, right? Just really good looking build. But yeah, really, really good all around. The LRA and the Blue Bunker work together way better than I was expecting. Actually, I kind of worried about how well they do together. But because the Worger is just so versatile, right? You can spam with it to get a stagger alongside the LRA. And because it has such a fast charge time and such good cooling stats, you can use it for getting a stagger and still use it the charge attack as a direct hit damage punish, right? Very, very, very good combination. You've also got the LRA to poke at mid-range if you need it. And of course, the VPM, you guys all know how busted it is. And the active homing missiles, I think some people sleep on those. They're really, really good. They're absolutely just a nightmare to get away from if your opponent is in the air, especially. Sometimes if they're staying on the ground a lot, it'll just kind of crash straight into the ground. I wish FromSoft would kind of fix that a little bit. I've seen it happen so many times. Fix that, FromSoft, please. Anyways, that's about all there is to say about the build. It's just turned out really good and really fun. I really like this build a lot. I'm probably going to play something similar in PvP myself, to be frank. But anyways, that's all there is to say about the build. Let's go and get into the details. Now, getting into the weapons, there aren't many changes there, but like I mentioned in the intro, we got a little more to discuss regarding the VPM, but let's go over the other weapons first, right? Now, first, we've got the LRA, and this remains unchanged, of course. This is a very, very good weapon. It's a pretty decent spam option, and it's a very, very good directed damage dealer as well. Now, for this build, it functions less as a direct hit damage dealer than you might normally use it, but it's still just a fantastic spam damage weapon, right? And if you need to, you can still use it as direct hit damage. And even at mid-range, charging up for the charge shot, because it does do a massive amount of base damage on the charge shot for its like weight and energy load, right? I think absolutely slaps. You just hit this thing at mid-range, right? Now moving, of course, we've got the Worger, the Blue Bunker, as again it's been called, and I'm adopting that name. I love this weapon. Honestly, I feel like this weapon's kind of slept on, I feel like, by a lot of people. Especially the charge shot here just absolutely slaps, right? It does so much damage on a direct hit, and it does kind of function as a direct hit melee damage dealer that doesn't require melee specialization, right? It works alongside your energy specialization that you use in the rest of your build, and then it also doubles as a shotgun. Now, compared to like this other laser shotgun, it's not the best in that regard. It's definitely got kind of like worse range, worse consistent range at least. So, in that regard, it's not as good as the other shotgun, but it's so good. It charges so fast that you can continue. You can use it to spam away with, right, to get the stagger, and then you can still get a charge hit for that massive Blue Bunker, right? Really, really good. Definitely don't sleep on this weapon. Now, next, we've got the active homing missile launcher, and I've upgraded it from the single cell to the double cell. Not much to say here. We can afford to carry the extra weight, so, just an extra missile. And the extra missile is really, really nice. It's really good. I mean, each of these missiles already do quite a lot of impact and damage by themselves, right? So you double it up, even better, right? Now, moving on, finally, the VPM. Now, originally, he has on the standard 4-cell missile launcher, this one right here. And obviously, it's not that great. And in terms of missile launchers, the VPM is obviously the best. However, there's an issue here. Because I'm planning to give all of these builds, including this one, to the actual NPCs in a mod eventually, Cold Call's arena is very bad for the VPMs, right? You can't really use them in his arena. But when I will be making the mod, I'll probably be giving him the 3-cell VPM or maybe even the 6-cell VPM. I haven't decided, or plasma, not VPM, just, you know, the standard plasma missiles. Probably give him the 6-cell. So just keep that in mind, that like these just simply don't work in his arena. But otherwise, if you're planning to take this build into generic PvP or PvE, right, I would definitely recommend the VPM, because this weapon is just like the best missiles in the game, right? And yeah, that's all there is to say about the weapons. Let's go ahead and move on into the frame. Now, getting the frame, we've got a couple of changes here, but first, the barrel head's obviously not changed, because this head's really good, right? It's obviously on the heavy and energy load heavy side, but, you know, because we have the chicken legs, we can afford that extra energy, and we've got a ton of spare energy capacity as well, right? And, you know, this is just a really highly defensive head, lots of defenses, lots of attitude stability, nothing to really complain about here with the Varel head, right? Now, moving on, we've got the Mind Alpha core, which has changed from his original Mellinger core. Now, obviously, what we gain here is a lot of extra defenses for, you know, very little extra weight and some extra energy load that, again, we can afford to take, right? In exchange, we get quite a bit better generator stats, right? Our energy discharge delay goes down, you know, by over 1/10 of a second, which is quite nice. And we do get, again, quite a bit more defenses, especially energy defense. And I do think energy defense is pretty important in this game, especially if you're not an absolute god. There's a lot of energy weapons that do a ton of damage, right? So energy defense is really important in my opinion, and it's nice to get some extra energy defense on the build. Now, moving on, we've got the Alba arm, switched from the original tool arm arms. Main thing here is just getting much better firearm specialization, right? Fortunately, the Werger doesn't actually require any melee specialization. It's entirely dependent on energy specs, so we don't actually care about melee specialization at all in this build, despite having a pseudo melee weapon, right? So we don't care about that at all. Then we've got the Alba arms here. This is some nice lightweight, kind of trimmed down some of the extra weight I've added onto the build, some of the weapons, right? Again, just fantastic firearm spec, 140, super light, a bit heavy on the energy, but again, thanks to the Mind Alpha core, we've got more than enough energy to spare. And then finally, of course, we've got the spring chicken, the rooster legs. I wasn't going to take this off a reverse joint, and I just didn't feel like either of the others really fit. Technically, I could totally use the Mind Beta. It definitely fits, you know, in terms of like stat-wise, you could get away with it. But for the extra 10 boot speed, I didn't think it was worth changing the look of the chicken legs. Also, the defense walls, I just didn't think it was worth it, right? So we just stuck with the spring chicken. And yes, that's all there is to say about the frame. Let's move on into the internals. Now, getting to the internals, first we've got the boosters, right? So I've switched his original PO4s out for the NGI 001s. And kind of the main thing like I considered regarding the boosters was I wanted really good, fast, long, quick boost, right? Because the reverse joints don't have very good in-air quick boost. You know, the initial like boost with the leap is very good, but once it's actually in the air, boosts aren't that good. Obviously, it's nice to have them for emergencies if you really need to dodge something, but generally they function best boosting from the ground, right? So I wanted that initial like single really good boost I get to be really good. So the PO4 on the other hand is all, you know, a decent booster all around. Doesn't have any stats that are bad, but it also doesn't have any stats that are particularly good, right? It's just solid all around, but it's not the best for anything, right? So I kind of very quickly decided I'm going to change this. And, you know, in terms of like what I'm really looking for, you know, high quick boost thrust, and, you know, just long quick boost, right? Nothing really satisfies those conditions other than the NGI 001, right? Nothing else really gives me what I want here. The PO4 is probably the next best thing, funnily enough. So NGI 001, really easy choice to switch that out, right? And next we've got the FCS, the Talbot. Now he does actually have this on originally, and I just did decide to keep this, just leave it alone. Especially the extra firearm specialization. We don't particularly need, you know, a super high close or medium range assist, right? And we do want both close and medium range because we've got the shotgun and the LRA you can use at mid range for some really nice poke damage. So we definitely want both of those, right? And we also don't want terrible missile lock stats because of the active homing missiles. Don't want to get that lock on time being too long, right? And the Talbot just kind of gives everything this build wants, right? There wasn't really anything else in consideration, to be honest. I didn't even consider changing it. to be frank. I mean, maybe you consider the WLT-001, but don't really need that medium range assist to be that high. Again, the shotgun is pretty important, and even with the LRA, you want to be close range most of the time, right? Definitely want the better close range assist. And then finally, we've got the VE20C. Now, originally, he has on the Ming Tang, and quite frankly, this is just a really, really bad generator for the build. You won't go to energy firearm spec on this build, of course, for the Wurger and the LRA. So switching out to like one of these Arquebus generators was the obvious choice, and the only one that we're really going to be able to fit on this build is, of course, the 20C. I mean, technically, you could also use this, but you'd be losing 18 firearm spec, and it's not worth it, in my opinion. So the VE20C was the obvious choice here for the big damage. And yeah, he has assault armor on originally. I didn't see a reason to change it, just left it alone. And yeah, that's all there is to say about the build. As always, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Before we get into the gameplay footage, as always, a quick thank you to our members. Any tier of the membership is greatly appreciated. The support helps a lot. And as always, you do get some benefits for doing it. Of course, you get your name here. You get to see videos a day early if you get the Purple Cat tier or higher. And there's some other stuff, right? But let's go ahead and get into the gameplay footage.
AC DEADSLED destroyed. Coldcall won't be a danger to you anymore. Iguazu. He even tried sending an assassin after you.
Defense program phase 2.0. Intruder identified.
Raven, watch out. That weapon must be guarding the steps. I'll see what data I can find. Ventilation duct identified. Looks like it's connected to the control room.
Defense program phase 2.5. Intruder proximity to critical sector confirmed.
Looks like the partitions on the upper level have closed. Let's find the access point and lift the lockdown. I forced the partitions and the elevators back.
Seems like smooth sailing, 621. As if you hardly need help from me, but you get so good at exploring.
I expect the defense weapon will be waiting for us. Be careful, Raven. The Enforcer, an AI-controlled prototype developed by the PCA. It is designed to detect key watchpoint sectors and eliminate any intruders. Whatever they're hiding down here, they wanted it to stay hidden.
Releasing output. Reconfiguring energy draw and maximum value for all activators. Terminating user.
1 repair kit remaining.
Rest 7, 8. First, rest priority code.
Walter should have some data on the next sector. Let's take a break for now, Raven.
Merc. Go take care of the objective, King. I'll clip this one's wings.
Not alone. This is a branch mission. I'll support you.
This isn't great. You're just a Gen 4. You belong in a museum, not an AC. You don't know when to quit. Just like all the other ravens.
I want you to die! Chartreuse! Withdraw! Abandon your AC!
AC unlocks destroyed.
At 50%. 2 repair kits remaining.
Good. I'm picking up another AC.
Augmented human C4621.
You're strong. Worthy of your name.
AC Astrocrown destroyed.
Thank you, King. We've lost both of them.
One AC left, Raven.
A raven is a symbol of resolve. The will to choose what one fights for.
Stay focused, Raven.
AP at 50%. AP at 30%.
Raven, we can still... All right. We'll watch this one. See where they go on a raven's wings.
All enemy ACs destroyed. Mission accomplished.